I'm Carlos Castillo. I'm the Nostalgic Latino, and you're watching Todo Latino Show.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Todo Latino Show from Pro Audio Studios LA, sponsored by Global Processing Systems, the official merchant of Revolucion and Todo Wafi. I am your host, Rafael. Today, of course, is here Daisy. We got Yovi and our special guest, friend of the show, friend in general, Carlos Castillo, also known as the Nostalgic Latino. What's up, man?
Hey, what's going on? How's it going, guys? Thank you guys for having me here.
Welcome.
It's been like, we've known each other for 2 years, and this is the first time we're actually in the same room together.
Yeah, dude, it's pretty wild.
Wait, it's the first time you meet in person?
It's the first time we meet in person.
It's the first time we meet in person.
We have messaged on Instagram. I now have his number there. We've been trying to like get together for like food and like even just to do this interview and stuff like that.
The guy's busy. He's like, I'm eating this or I'm enjoying that. I'm on this vacation. I'm going on a cruise. I'm like,
oh my Lord.
Okay, so he must be.
Wow.
Now you know he's lying.
I'm like a cruise. I don't know what a cruise.
Everybody who knows me knows I live in front of a desk for my entire life. So we must be talking about his schedule because I see him at Disney and all kinds of stuff. The man is just out there. For people who didn't know, we had him on 2 years ago. This was for Revolucion Hispanic Heritage Month. And we did his origin story there, Salvadoreño. We talked about, a lot of the things. But for them, for the people who haven't seen that interview, tell them a little bit more about yourself.
You know what? I appreciate you actually said Salvadoreño. That's nice.
I mean, how else would I say it?
It's
He's
just no.
Salvadoran.
Or do
So
you
many
go by
different
Salvi
spellings
too?
for it. There's so many
Salvi,
different
yeah.
spellings for it. It's like it's.
I say the
ridiculous.
Latino version of it.
I don't know what's the Latino version.
Salvi.
The Salvadoreño.
You don't say Salvi?
Yeah. we
Salvi
say Salvi
short.
too.
I know people.
Salvi, that's
That's an
nice.
LA thing. Oh, Los
Yeah, I
Salvi.
think so. Anywho, I started like around during COVID, so a lot of the situations back then where we were all kind of just cooped in and stuff like that. So obviously, I ended up having to pass the time, and I had already done like film and short film, and I tried the YouTube stuff, and I burned out. But I ended up falling along with the TikTok trend and whatnot, and started creating relatable content in regards to stuff that was just nostalgic to me personally. Like for the one that really popped off for me was just me just waking up in the middle of the night, like at 2 or 3 a.m. The TV is just blasting. And it's like, George Foreman's Lean Green, fat grilling machine. And like, we'll knock the fat out. And it was like, and that and Betty Crocker and OxyClean.
I was about to say the OxyClean
The
one.
Shirley Temple DVD collection and stuff like that. And it was like, oh, you know what if I do this? And I post this and a lot of people, they resonated with that. And it was very relatable to them. It was like, oh, wow, that was so funny. I remember this. Or do you remember that? Do you remember this? I'm like, yeah, I do. Yeah, do another video. I'm like, okay. So at that point, it was like a niche that I kind of kept on rolling on. And I felt that, during that time frame, it was just a period where nothing or really anybody really had anything to look forward to because nobody really knew what was going to happen during that time.
Yeah. So
a lot of people had a lot of like feelings of nostalgia and was like, oh, remember how the good times were? And even up until this point within, post-COVID and whatnot, a lot of people still reminisce of the times before then. Like even, 90s, 80s or 2000s and whatnot. I concentrate particularly in the 90s, 2000s. That's like my childhood to manhood, if anything. But
I'm probably the only one in the room that dips into the 80s. Maybe Jovi?
No, I mean, I like
do.
the 80s
It's
too.
80s.
I love the music. I love the movies.
No, what I'm saying, like, I
90s.
think we lived
80s.
like,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. Like I was bike riding with the elephant ears and stuff in the 80s. Like,
Elephant ears. What the
yeah,
hell?
you remember the bikes with the elephant ears? You never remember those? Yeah, we had these big old bikes that had like these giant elephant ears.
No.
They look like Harley Davidson for kids.
What the heck?
You gotta check
Look
it out.
at
Look.
me, Mom.
I mean, there was no
Oh,
brum brum. It
elephant
was
ears
just
are the tall bars?
yeah, the tall bars.
That's what you called them?
Yeah, they called the elephant ears.
Did they have the little tassels? Like
Yeah,
the little...
yeah.
I had
Wow.
the tassels.
Yeah.
I
I had
remember
the
those.
tassels.
Okay, so we didn't have a lot of us, so mine had the tassels too. So we weren't really big.
I didn't even know that's what they were called. Elephant
Yeah,
ears.
we called them the elephant ears.
I
I,
was
mean,
like-
that's what we called them. And
They
I'm
went
from New
into the
Jersey.
90s too, though, when I was born, right?
Yeah, but I think in the 90s you guys started using it as more kind of retro, so to speak. Like you were just using it for the sake of using it. I think when you start looking, like for instance, you look at Stranger Things, which is like mid 80s, you can see those bikes being used. By the 90s, you started getting like mountain bikes, Huffy bikes, and all kinds of stuff.
Right.
Speed bikes, people were using all.
Yeah,
all
that's
those.
what I ended up using. It was like the little BMX.
The
handles.
mongoose.
The
BMX.
mongoose.
Yeah,
BMX.
those-
Yeah, my
BMX.
mongoose got jacked from my backyard back then. As a kid, I remember crying. That sucked. That was like a reality check for me. I was like,
It's like
it was a reality
like-
check for me because it was like, I live in the ghetto now.
That's the time for me. Like the biggest thing about those bikes is like the only time I got one is the one time, and this is gonna be a sad story for people who are listening. So the one time I got to spend time with my father, that's the one time I got that bike.
Ay.
Aw.
And then after that, I didn't care because I got the bike. So go story.
Elephant ears.
Elephant ears. So no, and I apologize. Not the elephant ears one. The elephant ears one came from my mom. The like the mongoose, the one that got.
Oh, okay. I see
Yeah,
what you
the
mean.
nice ones with the whole, bounce and everything to them. You were able to put the pegs on the sides.
Dang.
So-
You
He was
pimped out
fancy.
your ride back then.
Bro, because the bike with the elephant ears had a huge ass chair, man. You could sit like
Damn.
4 people. It was like a Latino bike.
Hey guys, here comes Rafa.
But hey, I know people who take those bikes now and they trick the shit out of them. Like they really style
dude.
them. Like they.
I should have a trauma with bikes because I had a really bad accident as a kid where I broke my nose, my arm, my leg. Yeah, it was bad. So I'm surprised I'm not like terrified of bikes.
That's crazy.
Dang.
I mean, I'm terrified for you on bikes though. I'm not gonna invite you bike riding at
No,
all.
don't
So-
invite
If
me.
it makes it feel better, in rollerblading, I ended up like breaking like 3 bones in my arm, just in the same
Man, I
arm.
don't even want to
No,
talk
I
about
just got
rollerblading.
scrape
The
or
very first time I
stuff like
tried
that.
rollerblading, like we bought it for me and my kids. We decided to go around like the small track that was in like Leonia, New Jersey.
Uh-huh.
And that first day, I'm sitting there riding around this whole thing, and I slipped and completely destroyed my thumb and everything. It was just the worst. Yeah.
I guess we all had the same
Yeah.
childhood.
So
It is where
We were
what about
outside.
you?
We were
Yeah,
outside.
what did you break?
What did you break?
I never broke anything, but I got scrape and things like that.
That's the beauty of growing up.
Especially
when
with
we
the
were
bicycle, the
outside.
pedals.
Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
no tablets, no iPhones.
No,
Like,
we
just
grew up
Yeah.
outside
being
when the
outside
lights
and-
go out.
is-
being a menace.
Yeah.
but you more than others. You broke everything.
Well, one time
Tony Hawk of the
I also
show.
broke my arm.
Ay, Dios
And I didn't
mío.
tell my mom, and I was like this all week, and she was like, "What's wrong with your arm?" And she pulled it, and I was like, "Yeah." And I started
Ay.
crying, and I told her, "Oh, I was in the kitchen looking for something, and I climbed up and I fell." But she would be like, "Why are you a monkey? Like, why are you climbing on things?" And I'm like, "I don't know."
Ay,
I'm yeah.
I'm trying to get the good stuff, Mom.
We need-
By the foot. Yeah.
If this was in this day and age, we'd be recording it. We'd have footage.
Yeah.
Do we have footage, Mom? No, I'm just kidding.
There's no footage.
Send it in
but
the show.
Just know I
We
broke
definitely wanna-
everything.
So there's quite a few accounts that actually do the nostalgia. Like, do you collaborate with a lot of those accounts?
I try to collaborate when I can, if the idea makes sense. I try not to force it. Sometimes when it's forced, and it feels very inorganic.
Yes.
But yeah, there's a plethora of a lot of nostalgic accounts. If you don't mind, if I could
Nah,
just shout
go
out
for
to a
it.
couple of
Dale.
them.
Go for it.
Just wanted to say shout out to Nostalgically Awkward, CSA Punch.
I love her.
Jenna Barkley, Shiny Pretties. I'm probably forgetting so many different ones, but I love you all, and you guys are great inspirations. to
We'll
me
have
for
them
my-
running on the credits. Like it's like the following accounts have been very supportive to and then they just start scrolling on the screen
Like,
with like music, like the music. Like, and this Christmas hits, you can see them and they're just scrolling. That's funny. All right, so the way we do the show is we always start off with our highlights. I'm gonna go ahead and start it this week. I just read where Eva Longoria is Langora.
Oh my
Gloria.
God. Eva
Eva Longoria is now $50 million richer, according to a headline. Lauren Sanchez, which I didn't even realize they were even like he was engaged. Lauren Sanchez, and Jeff Bezos, basically gave an award. The Bezos Award. The award is called Bezos Courage and Civility Award, and it's given out every year. It's $100 million to have it split. 2 people get it, and Eva was one of the ones that that got it. I'm curious about this. Her speech is Of course, I'm honored and thrilled personally, but I'm even more excited about the impact I think we can have on the country through and by investing in the strength of Latino community. And then she went on and said the statement on immigrant Latinos in the U.S. are a rapidly growing group with extraordinary potential, but we disproportionately lack the infrastructure opportunities we need. And I'm excited to invest in that opportunity. Now, she has a foundation where she connects like Latino men and women into lower socioeconomic areas with mentors. Do you think it's going to go to that?
I think so.
I
feel like she's always advocating for her Latino community. Like, that's literally her thing. Like, she always talks about how important it is, whether it's in films and areas that are like you said. It was in what did he say? Sorry,
Which ones? I mean, she basically does a lot for businesses. She'll actually like promote.
But you said she also helps people in poor areas, or was it poor?
Well, she helps the people who are in those lower socioeconomic issues.
Okay.
So
yeah,
she kind of elevates those
so.
specific areas.
She seems like she would.
She does seem to advocate for a lot of Latinos just in general, just to, to help with their successes in general.
Right.
I mean, I just remember the Flamin' Hot movie.
Yeah, that actually did big.
And she really advocated
She
to
went.
get the word out there.
Yeah, she went on a strong campaign. Mm-hmm.
Oh, she was putting people on blast on that campaign.
Yeah.
She
too.
was putting people on blast.
Yeah,
And it
she
worked. And it really.
I mean, it got all the way to the White House, so that's how you know it works. No other film was doing that. So, but yeah, she was. I just curious. $50 million. Wow.
That is a lot of money. So
That is a lot of money. And I wonder if you have to be a celebrity, like in Bezos' eyes, to get that. Like, I wonder if other people applied that.
What are
who was the other person that won?
I don't know.
You don't know.
what are the recipients?
I just cared about.
I didn't look him up because I don't care.
I don't care. No, I'm just kidding. No, I genuinely don't know who the second person was. But I know that she was one of them. It was
what's crazy is Lauren Sanchez, which is Bezos' wife. I remember seeing her as a kid because she used to do Fox 11 News.
Yeah, she's an
Really?
anchor. Yeah, she's
Dude. I just thought, man, like she just looks like
Is she Latina?
she's Latina.
Well, Sanchez,
Yeah.
right? Latina,
She's
yeah.
Latina. But she used to do Fox 11 News. I'm pretty sure
No, yes.
she was a news person, a news anchor. So it was really wild. The fact
she's now with Bezos, giving out
Yeah,
an award
man.
for $50 million.
She's set for life. That's all
Yeah,
I'm
that's
gonna say.
for
Well, they're
sure.
not
So
married
even-
yet. They're
Yeah,
still
but even in
fiancé.
divorce, she's set for life.
She's set for life.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I mean, his ex-wife.
Mackenzie,
That's why-
she's
yeah,
been
she
like
is.
donating, giving money like left and right.
Well, I think for
She's
her, it wasn't
like,
about the
you know-
money. I think she was very much like
I think she was probably with him since the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, she helped build this man, sort of.
But she's definitely doing the philanthropy. She's donating as much as she can. She's giving away as many nonprofit foundations that she can, be part of or help his ex-wife. Definitely, she's doing a lot of work.
Well, for $50 million, Eva, we're right here.
I know, right?
The Todo Latino show and Todo Wafi could use some of those $50 million. We're in a low socioeconomic area. No, I'm just kidding.
Small business.
We're
Poor.
poor. We need help.
We could play the SPCA in the background. In the arms of
my God.
just have us
Angel.
twitching in the background and shit. Like that would be
Please
interesting.
sponsor this poor Latino kid. Please.
For $1 million, you can help this Latino host elevate his. That would be so funny. Oh man! All right, Daisy, you're next.
In other news, should J-Lo retire already?
Oh,
so
boy.
she canceled several shows for her This Is Me Now tour, and she hasn't commented on why, but people are speculating it's because of the weak sales. So what do you guys think? Is it time for her to retire?
I'm gonna let you go first because you told me off topic you were to.
I think I don't think she should retire specifically. I think that she should just kind of keep on going with her movies for right now. I just, in my opinion, a really cool fun fact is that a lot of J-Lo's hits, very Jenny from the Block kind of stuff, a lot of those vocals back then were not strictly J-Lo's.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah,
true? That's
yeah.
actually
Yeah.
No, yeah, that's
proven?
true.
Yeah. So, I mean,
Okay.
and I don't know if y'all are familiar with Ashanti.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Well, people were always saying that, but I never knew if it was just rumors or if it was.
It
true.
wasn't like a ghost voice. It's just that her background vocals are used in those songs with like I'm real, the way you look, the way you talk, the way you. But that one and I forgot the other song, but basically, you know, Ashanti's vocals really helped out J-Lo's presentation and how that is.
Yeah.
And I think even in the Selena movie, she only sang the Como la Flor, you know, at that very point, but otherwise everything else is just
You're
after
all...
saying,
the
if she
movie-
you're saying if she didn't have background vocals, it wouldn't sound as...
Yeah, I mean, it just,
as
I mean,
crisp.
J-Lo's is not, I mean, not to trash her or anything. I think that she's not as crazy hyped as a lot of people would expect her to be.
Yeah.
So and I think that it's kind of weighing down, and she's trying to kind of go back to the early 2000s. I mean,
She's trying to be nostalgic
she's
about
trying
it.
to be nostalgic, and that's what I'm trying to say. Like, this is where it all makes sense.
J-Lo, the nostalgic Latina.
Yeah, the nostalgic Latina for real. Because I mean, her album is called "This Is Me Now,"
Right.
and I think the original album, which was from like almost 20 years ago, was called "This Is Me Then" or something along those lines. And she's already back with Ben Affleck, who she was dating
I love
at that time, which I love. And
I love them
I love
together.
Bennifer.
Yeah.
And you know, it's wild. It just feels like she's trying to rewind time a little bit, and it's just, I just think like
Maybe she's fearing aging. Maybe she's getting a little scared that she's aging and she's thinking she needs to keep up with the latest. And
I know. I think
maybe
it's
people are
trying
like, it's okay
stay
to rest a
relevant.
little bit. Like,
Yeah.
take some time off, go on vacation.
I think
Yeah,
the
but
problem is
canceling
she's making
7
a-
shows like that very quietly, that really raised an eyebrow. I'm just saying, it's like,
I honestly feel like people are kind of tired of seeing her and everything. I like J-Lo. I'm not a
like
J-Lo.
It's not about everything. I think it's about the content. Like
Maybe.
she's now, and this is something that was written about, and even Ben Affleck is starting to get a little frustrated. She's bringing in her personal life back into the mix of all her content, and he's kind of getting tired of it. Like there are reports where he's getting upset because he's like, "Why are you revisiting things that people already saw was like an issue back then, and you're now putting it into documentaries?" And you're now doing so. It's like she doesn't have not only music coming out, but at the same time she has to put out 2 documentaries, the making of this, the making of that, like back behind the scenes. Like we're not that interested in your like behind the scenes life. You know what I'm saying? Like we're trying to celebrate who you are on like your 18th wedding, and that's great. But nobody cares about what's taking place on your everyday motion. So the documentary is why she's canceling
Carlos
a lot of
has
these
something
things.
to say.
I'm still trying to reach that peak and high of waiting for tonight. Whoa.
Well,
that was peak J-Lo in my opinion. So.
I mean, she's to me, we've had this discussion. She's the ultimate entertainer. She was, she's a fly girl. Like that was her thing. She's taken that dance and she's created what she has created from an empire perspective. And so you can't take away the achievement just because she is who she is. And she's created, whether you hate her or not, she's created an empire for herself, and she's
agree.
very influential,
Yes.
and she has
400
changed
million.
the game. She has opened the game for many other people, or opened the door for many other people. There are people like Brie Larson who are like, "Oh, you're, acting."
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah, you're acting in
Selena.
Selena are the reasons why I became an actress. Like when you have moments like that, you can understand the impact that she has.
She has
But at the same time,
weaknesses.
don't go into the Madonna
and-
thing now where you're
Right.
like overextending it and so forth. Like the movies aren't doing that well to begin with. So you popping out like 6 of them just means you're going to have 6 like under.
She's about to be in
achieving
another
movies.
film on Netflix too.
Yeah, I mean, she and Netflix have
just going-
some type of
just
agreement.
going, yeah.
The Mother did okay, but it's not like it blew out the charts of anything on there, if that makes sense.
I mean, I was happy to see her out of her regular wedding roles, but
She is in a regular wedding role.
That's
Yeah.
her theme.
I mean, isn't that? I mean, that's her thing. She needs like 18 weddings to just. I mean, she even
Yeah, the
talks
last
about
one
that in the
was-
documentary.
no, I haven't seen it because.
But the funny part
I
is
feel
that
like
the
I know everything about
documentary
it.
was more entertaining. It kept my attention than the actual content that was done. Behind the scenes was actually more entertaining, the documentary or the making of, than the actual.
I mean, I guess you can
Show
in
itself.
in a couple of things you can kind of go in behind the scenes, and you're interested in like, okay, how did the Super Bowl halftime? Like, what was her process through that, or what was her process through the making of the films? But we don't want to know every like, you know, along with the movie coming out and the documentary coming out and the song coming out. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just weird.
Well, I could tell really from the beginning that she was gonna, you know, it all was a premise to her, you know, giving her tour or releasing her tour, and I was like, okay, now I know why she did that. But
if she's canceling stuff, then that can't be good.
Anyways,
But I think, it probably might be a little sales. I just think there's just a general disinterest, and it's just not. It's not that
She's overkilling. I think she's overkilling.
I think she's overreaching.
Yeah, she's overreaching.
And
Like I think she found a trend that people liked, and I think she went off and decided to make a million things, and like I don't think people were interested in that many million things. Like
the documentary isn't helping.
Yeah.
Really, in that opinion.
Yeah.
As well.
you know, we always have discussions and talking about things, and usually we do it at the beginning. But if I ask you, Carlos, what is the best way for you to contact you and why? For example, if texting, emailing, FaceTiming in real life, face to face, when is it okay, or to whom? You know, what are your thoughts?
Okay, it's really funny because I grew up in a lot of messaging type of scenarios, like even with like instant message and texting in general.
Mm-hmm.
I prefer that texting in general.
That's yeah.
I just I think it's weird that, and I don't blame a lot of people. It's just I just don't like talking to people over the phone. It's just, unless it's like an emergency, or if like I know you like that, like I don't know. It's just I just prefer to be reached out via text. Like if you really need to get in touch with me, it would be text. Otherwise, you could always message me on my social platforms.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's just a preference for me. Obviously, the only people that I would want to call is like if it's
Family.
my parents, so like family and whatnot. So,
do you think it's generational?
Yeah, I think it's generational. Obviously, with like if you're older, I think calls are much more preferred.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a lot more direct to kind of get that message out there just on the spot.
Mm-hmm.
And like for me, for my parents, you know, thank you WhatsApp for, you know, letting me call El Salvador.
What's up?
You know.
What about if somebody just shows up at your place and say, "Hey, Carlos, I'm here."
Hell no.
That ain't happening.
See, like back in the day when I was a kid, I was like, "Hey, Carlos, you want to go play football? Yeah, I'll be there certainly." And then, but now,
Sweetly. Sweetly.
so you haven't seen that When Simpsons episode? It's like,
I did.
Hey, yo, you want to play stickball? Hey, sweetly.
Sweetly.
And then they play the stickball arcade game. Yeah, it's different because it was a really good feeling because you didn't really expect who was going to be at your door, whether it's usually it was always family, friends, and you know, hopefully it's
La
not
vecina.
like, yeah, la vecina, hopefully. And now it's like you hear like a doorbell. It's like, hey, Jehovah's Witness. Ay, no, Dios mío. And I got to tell my mom sometimes, you know, when she visits, I'm like, Mama, no contesta. Jehovah, don't answer the door. It's like, otherwise she's going to be, you know, outside listening to the spiel for this, you know, for a long time. So, and yeah, so that was always that. For me, it's usually text is like the best way to reach out in that regard. It's my preference.
It's your own. Okay, it's just at your boundaries. So who do you do FaceTime with, or if you feel comfortable?
I don't like doing FaceTime with anybody.
Yeah.
I don't. I really don't. It's different. It's just, I think more so now because of ever since COVID happened and all of us have been either had to have worked at home and be able to have these face-to-face conversations, like that everything's been kind of Zoomified, if anything.
Yeah.
Correct.
So every time that if I do get a FaceTime, it feels like a business call to me.
Oh.
And it feels like work for me. And I don't get it. I don't know what it is. It's like como estoy traumado or something.
He's traumatized.
Like, as soon as I hear the FaceTime,
seeing too many faces.
yeah, it's just I don't know, it's weird. I would just rather talk to them in person. It's a lot of fun that way.
What are your thoughts, Ditsy? How you break this down?
Just don't contact me at all. I'm just kidding. I'm like, just don't do it.
Lo mandamos correo. We're gonna give her
I used
a
to
mail.
be I like talking on the phone, but I feel like lately, just if it could be a text me. You don't have to call to ask me, hey, are you going to be there later? Just text me, are you going to be there later? Or if you want to have a full conversation, text me, when can you talk, you know?
But what if it's really good chisme?
Okay, then I'm there.
They're like, just call me now?
Yeah, call me now.
At that point, she'll take a FaceTime.
Yeah, she'll take a FaceTime.
I'm like, you know what?
Like, girl, let me get the
I'm all setting up my phone, like, okay, what's going on?
Okay, really?
What about the person that shows up unannounced? Depend who that person is.
Oh, no, I hate that. Because I look the ugliest at my own house, so don't show up at my house, please. I have my little pimple patches, my little big bow hairband
going on.
And here's a picture. No, I'm just
No,
kidding.
and here's a photo. No, I think, no. You need a heads up for sure. Text message, I would say. Yeah.
What about you, Rafael?
All right, so let me see. To answer these, so text messaging. I feel I'm like what Carlos said. So I'm a little older. So I will text with you to a certain point if I feel that conversation is
Anything
is
more than
going-
30 minutes?
No. It's not going that long. If I gotta talk to you for 30 minutes, we're getting on a damn call. Or we're getting on a Zoom.
I'm gonna tell you right now. He'll just tell me he'll text me. Hey, are you free at 4?
Are you free at 4?
And it's like 4 minutes away. I'm like, I
not-
think so. And then goes.
Yeah. I'm not
Damn,
gonna.
man.
I'm not from that generation of texting for hours. Like we are not doing that. Like
never.
I will text with certain people back and forth if I'm doing like multi-people.
Multitasking.
But if we're getting to the point where we're having more than 5-10 minutes, I'm just gonna give you a call because it's just way too long to explain, and I'm not trying to keep a record of everything that I'm doing through text. So we're just gonna call. Yeah, from a FaceTime perspective, I don't like doing it. I hate doing it even with my own family. Like I think my mother and my brother are the only people to get FaceTime. The only time I ever use FaceTime aside from that is if my kids are at the store and they're trying to point out what kind of ice cream I want. And they're just showing it to me like, hey, is this the one? And I'm like, no, keep moving to the left, keep moving. Like it becomes like a trajectory type thing, like where they become my eyes.
But what is your
For
favorite
that.
ice cream though?
Rocky Road.
Vanilla bean.
Oh.
I'm a huge vanilla bean.
I was like, Rocky
That's
Road.
why you gotta be so
That's kind of vanilla.
basic?
Yeah.
Because I'm a basic dude. I'm the same guy who wants you to call me instead of texting.
Or lastly, about the person that shows up unannounced at your house.
You better have money.
Or
If
comida.
you're gonna come,
Or food, dude.
if you showed up at my house unannounced, first of all, don't ever, because like I don't pick up my house unless like we do normal pickup, but I don't like clean unless I know.
Yeah.
This guy, like once
The Latina
one-
keep the house
You know what I'm
clean.
saying?
Huh?
Like we don't have a
La
maid,
visita.
so like it's not like you're gonna come over here and that house is gonna. So you're not coming into my house. Like even if you showed up unexpected, we're having a conversation at the door. Like you're not, and you could give me all kinds of weird looks about trying to go in, and I'll be like, so yeah. So you better have like a ton of money, or you better have brought some banging food that in my house has to obviously be ready. But other than that, yeah, you better call me. We better arrange it. There's a Calendly there that you can turn around to schedule the meeting, and that's through Zoom. So you'd have to go a whole different route if you want to show up at my place. Like, nah.
I definitely think that is generational. I have acquired a taste for texting. Texting has become very. If you remember now that we're talking about nostalgic, I was a BlackBerry, warrior.
Wow.
I'm taking me back, and it's just telling me because I was like.
And the razor?
I miss the BlackBerry.
The razor.
The razor.
BlackBerry
I
was
had the
shit.
pink razor.
Yeah, man.
The
I
sidekick.
literally I kept it to the last of the last time. Like before I had to transfer from an Android to an iPhone, I kept that BlackBerry to the end. I loved it. But doing calls, I will keep the calls to my old folks, my grandmother, my abuelita,
Yeah.
my mom, because that's how they want it.
Because they don't have the patience to be texting for hours.
You know what? Now that I think about it too, now she brings that up, I think even at that time, even back then, nobody really wanted to text because each text was 10 cents.
Yeah, that's
And nobody was trying to
Yes.
text at that time. So you really just like, hey, one text, and then you had to call them.
Well, not just
After
that.
9,
But
after
if you
9.
But you had to
remember-
call
After
them
9.
After
después de
9.
las 9.
It wasn't
dude.
just
after
that.
9 a.m. At 9
9
a.m.
p.m.
Look, we have the iPhone now, which has a whole keyboard attached to it, where you can actually choose. Back then, you had to text. There was 3 letters per number.
Not unless you had
So
a
you
BlackBerry.
had to say, yeah, but I mean, if you had a BlackBerry, was it? But aside from that, like I think the Motorola Razor, you had to like you had to hit the button 3 times to get
The
an R.
psychic for like,
you know
some
what
of
I'm
them
saying?
that
Like,
had the
it
psychic.
took forever to do that.
Can
So-
we talk about the house phone too? Who still has a house phone here? Because It's been years.
I recently got rid of my
Your
landline.
landline? What?
I felt really bad. I felt sad.
That
It
was
was
a
like a part of
treasure.
me. Yeah,
Yes.
it's like a part of me just kind of died a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I know my house number, by heart, and it's just something. It was like, I felt like I didn't want to let it go, but the thing is that every call that would come in was only from telemarketers.
Yeah.
That were coming in.
Well, question:
Unless my mom
cord
was
or
in town.
non-cord?
Huh?
Did your landline had a cord or non-cord?
I had both.
Okay, because I think like it was easier to transition out of that if you didn't have a cord, like because it was already basically a cell phone, like you were just using a cordless. But if you had like the traditional cord where you had to like have a 20-foot cable in order for you to go to like the next room and hide from your parents at 3:00 in the morning.
Oh my god.
Oh my
conversation with
god!
your
Getting
girlfriend.
caught because your parents had a phone in the room and then you
And
took
they
one
pick up
and
the phone.
The callback. You know when you
No,
call
when they
somebody?
picked up on their line, on
And
their
you're like,
side.
you have a
It's up on the other
conversation.
phone. It's like I'm trying to, holler at this girl
Yeah.
in middle school. Like, yeah, so I'm thinking about, this dance that's coming up. And I'm like, espérate, Piqui, lo voy a llamar. And I'm like, ma, estoy en el teléfono.
No, they pick up and just start dialing because they assume
Yeah,
nobody else.
dialing.
They pick up and they're like, it's like, ma. It's like,
You hear it and you just click so you don't get in trouble. You're like,
Yeah.
That's funny.
Or cross lines. Cross lines. He's like, hello? Who are you? Hello? Who is this? Who's this? Hello? ¿Quién es?
It's really
So you
awkward.
got a challenge for us. You
Oh,
decided.
yeah. I was just going to talk about a couple. Yeah, see, these are really nice little nostalgic things that really jogged the memory for a few things. So I just wanted to bring up a few, like a little challenge. More, it's not really a challenge, but just more or less like what you guys think about, or if you guys have had that type of nostalgic experience yourselves. One thing that really came up, which is funny because it's just social media in general. Do you guys ever watch America's Funniest Home Videos?
Yeah. I spend my Friday
So
nights.
I was just thinking about how that was essentially the first real piece of user-made content that was submitted for that time frame that just went viral in that sense. And so I was gonna ask you if you guys ever watched that, or if you guys ever made time to actually watch that show, or did you just catch reruns, or you just a fan of Bob Saget, or
I did because I was watching, Full House. I was really a fan of Full House.
I was watching it. I remember that. That was like the TikTok version of funny videos.
yeah,
We tuned in. It was every
TikTok of the '90s.
Yeah.
yeah. It was
Yeah.
every Sunday. I think it was you tuned in on Sunday nights. I think for me, I used to love it just because I used to watch the ones where the people got messed up. Obviously they had all the pet ones which were really cute, and then some of the baby ones were boring as shit. But like there was people who were like in a weddings, they were busting their ass.
Did you always see people falling, or people was
The
getting
people
hit?
falling, and then there's some that you're just like, wow, like that's pretty close to death.
Yeah.
Like I don't know why people were laughing in the studio. Somebody just went through a brick wall and they're like,
And so many crotch shots or hits in the nuts.
yeah.
And, stuff.
And then they're
Always
they're in the audience when they're
Yeah.
about to win 10 grand.
Yeah, when
guy's
they
still
came at the
holding
end of
his
the
crotch.
season, they go for
They're
who's the
like, you're close
best.
to winning 10 grand. He's like, he's still holding
Okay.
it.
Next one. The blue tin of butter cookies.
Oh my god, always deceiving.
Did
You actually had cookies in yours?
on occasion.
Yeah,
And then-
mine
but-
was sewing kits and shit.
Okay, but have you guys had those butter cookies?
Yes,
Yes.
yes,
Before.
because a holiday
Yes.
thing. Yeah,
I had 'em for
Then-
Christmas,
Yes,
again.
yes.
I
Just
thought it
because
was a rich thing because my mom always had her sewing stuff in there. So I was like, I guess we can never have the actual cookies. And
The rich people gave your mom the tin after
my
they were like,
I'm like, oh, it's a rich thing, you know?
Okay. Next one. Ordering from the kids menu at a Mexican restaurant, Latino restaurant, or something along those lines. Meaning, as a kid, me personally, we would go to go to a pupuseria because it was Salvadorian, right? But I would end up not liking pupusas. I would be like, I want the hamburger. Yo quiero la hamburguesa. I want the hamburger, or yo quiero el pollo, the chicken nuggets. Did you guys have those experiences, or did you have, or even as parents or anything, did you guys ever have to deal with that, or did you order from that menu?
I did it in DR. So when we went to Dominican Republic, I was like 8 or 9 or whatever it was at the time, and they would take us to the restaurant that's like right up the block, and they would have all kinds of stuff on the menu, you know, rice, beans, and blah blah. And I would always go for the damn burger or the pizza. Every single time. And I think for me, the reason for that is because we ate so much
Rice and beans.
at home, rice and beans and mangú.
Comida
and
criolla,
mofongo.
yeah.
So the one time that we were at the restaurant, me being in DR, not in the United States, I'm like, oh, this is the time I can get something that for me was nostalgic. I was buying something from the United States, technically
From
speaking.
El United.
Yeah. So that was mine.
Chicken nuggets all the way.
Even at the
Yeah.
any
Oh, that would bug me.
Yeah.
Oh, we're at like a cultural place and somebody orders chicken
Not
nuggets.
anymore,
Yeah,
but
that's-
before, yeah.
I'm like, I was raised in Panama, but it was a novelty on the weekends to go to McDonald's or Kentucky Fried Chicken, whatever you wanted. Burger King was an adventure, you know. It's like, oh my God, I'm going to have a burger.
Yeah, but did you go to a Latino restaurant and order that stuff?
No, because I'm like, I was eating, regular food. No,
Yeah.
It's like,
Because that's what he's asking is if you went
yeah,
against the grain.
I'm like,
so to
the
speak.
thing is that Panama is so different. Like when I wanted American food at the time, I would have to go like
to an American restaurant.
to the Canal Zone, where at the time, my grandfather
Oh, that's right,
was
yeah.
working there, and then they would
Like your
have
tourism
the
area.
franchises, but I would specifically go there when he had an American cafeteria, and it was really nice because, like you say, at home I eat West Indian, Caribbean food, and then this was the novelty to go out there and say, I want to have a burger or
Like the
fries.
Jewish people going to church on
Yeah.
Sundays or
Yeah.
on Saturdays, they were going to walking to the McDonald's as a family. They
Yeah.
were like, oh shit, dressed up nice.
hopefully I'm not cutting off on too much time, but
No, go.
No.
all right. Church lamps. So I don't know if you guys ever grew up very religiously or anything like that. Me personally, I'm not, but I was dragged to go to misa quite often, and I would be really bored. And one of the things that I would always look at are the lamps at the church, and I would always wonder if this lamp would fall,
Oh my goodness.
who would it hit?
Who would it hit?
Who would it hit? Did you guys ever look at the church lamps or look at anything and
Intrusive
just be
thoughts,
like,
yeah.
Yeah.
All the time.
I think so. I'm very curious and observant, but yeah, I would like be, when they like doing the incense and it's like, God forbid.
So you guys
they-
all went to Catholic churches.
Yeah.
You were in a
The
Catholic
incense.
church?
I mean, I didn't really have a choice.
No, I'm just saying. I'm asking for
Yeah,
for-
or
yeah.
Yeah, because my mom was Pentecostal, so it was just a different setting for me. So I was just waiting to see who was gonna fall and not get back up, because they would just be all of it, and anybody who was looking straight up, they were just considered holy. Like people, ay, mira, está mirando a Dios. Like, but we were there for like 3-4 hours. That was
And then the only thing I remember is standing up, sitting down, standing up, like,
Oh my
while
goodness.
being a kid at church. I hated that part.
that's definitely a Catholic.
that'd be really bad. Yeah, just for reference, for people that are watching this, it's quite often when they would do a song or some kind of
Oh,
a
yeah.
prayer.
Yes.
You'd have to get down on, and they
On
had
your
these
knees.
special little bench for your
The
knees,
Fatties, yeah.
and you just lean on them and you pray and
That
whatnot,
said,
and then you get up.
super comfortable when you had to do that, especially after sitting down.
Yes.
Which for a kid seemed like it was taking forever. And
Yes.
now when you go back and look at it, these people timed it to a T to make sure that there was a 1 hour mark, because they had like 3 or 4 of these masses in a row. So, for those of you who are like churches that were like Pentecostal and stuff like that, you're going to want to convert, because they do it in like an hour. And I'm just kidding. It's like they do it in an hour, and yeah, they were like the what is it, the Mary's sacraments and all kind of up. Then they get up like, and then they get back down, and then they get back up, and then there was the little cross thing. And
I would sit down sometimes. See, even as a kid, I was like,
you were allowed to. No te pegaron chancla. No, I'm just kidding.
no. You're like, but they're gonna get up again. We're gonna sit down again. We're gonna kneel down again.
Yeah. Your parents looking at you like,
My
why are
abuela.
you sitting down? And you're just like, oh shit. You're like scared in church.
Okay, next one is shoe stores. as I don't know if your parents would take you to Payless or Warehouse Shoe Sale or whatever, but was it always a good feeling for you guys when your parent would just say, when you put on the new shoes, okay, try them out, y ponte a correr, start running,
like, yeah,
start running.
There's some people who run out the store and never came back. But yeah, it was like modeling. Like you were just, you put on your shoes, you were like,
you feel like you're on the catwalk.
You got your Air Janets on, and
especially pinching the sneakers right at the tip.
Yeah,
is your toe right there? Is your toe right there?
Off-brand sneakers, or like it was just some weird stuff. Like the Nike symbol was upside down.
Mm-hmm.
It was affordable though. That's why it was called.
That's
Payless.
before Payless turned around and became really expensive.
Does that
you
even
used to
exist?
buy Payless for like $10, and then all of a sudden you were buying shoes for $39 at Payless.
Yes.
I'm like, why? I can get like the knockoff or whatever at like the Nike stores.
Do they still have some open, or is it completely?
No, I think they went bankrupt.
They went bankrupt already. Payless is open international, I think, just not in the U.S.
Just not in the U.S. I don't think.
Yeah.
The name continues.
I wonder if it's bougie across the sea. Like, where'd you go? I went to Payless.
Next one, lunch ladies. I don't know if you guys would ever go to school and they would always be very endearing to you and they would give you your food and whatever. And then it'll be like, enjoy, baby, or enjoy, sweetie, or enjoy, mijo, or aquí está cariño, and they would say all of these sweet terms of endearment. And did that ever happen to you? And did you ever get a funny feeling out of it?
My lunch lady was an ass.
Oh, man.
I didn't experience that.
Okay. Even on Pizza Fridays, that woman was terrible. So I don't know where you got your lunch lady from. And I was in a good neighborhood too. But they were just always miserable. Like, I mean, I can see it. You're dealing with people like me at the line. But I mean, they were just mean.
Dang, man.
I got that everybody hates Chris type of like lunch lady.
I was hoping for a happier kind of.
Nah. You got the good end of the stick when it came to that.
Oh man.
I got the sweet ones.
You did?
Yeah.
You got the sweet one. Maybe it's specific. Maybe they just didn't like me.
It might be that.
Maybe they were just ass to me. Like,
I don't know, man. Did you have like a bad rep or something?
No, I mean I was very well unknown. You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't go up there causing any problems. I barely had. We did have like the reduced meal, so maybe they just looked at me and they were just like, "Oh, it's a reduced kid."
What is a reduced
It's like it's a reduced meal kid.
Oh
It's when your parents couldn't afford like the main meal and you got like a reduced price. Yeah, and then your mom used to send you with like whatever amount was the leftover.
Oh no, yeah, I was a reduced kid too.
Yeah.
Now you recall.
She's like, now that we're all traumatized.
Yeah, I was a reduced kid.
Yeah, I remember that people would always be like slanging their lunch tickets, like for like $20 for like the whole month.
Damn, they were scalping
they're scalping their
tickets.
lunch tickets,
I got $20 here.
Yeah.
I got $20 worth of meals right here.
I'll take that sweetly.
It's like, I'll trade you a bubblegum wrap card. Like, that'd be crazy.
And then lastly, language barriers, whether it was for you or as your parents. Just wanted to bring up Inglés sin barreras. Or for people that are non-Latino, hooked on phonics worked for me.
Oh.
So,
see, we were talking about this off show, and I had no idea about Inglés sin barreras.
I'm surprised. You never heard about it?
I never heard of it.
Infomercial?
Maybe I saw it, but I mentally I don't have a clue what you guys are talking about.
It had a dope graphic on it too. It was like a nice little blue with the city nightlife and a big old moon or a sun. I don't know. There's a plane that's flying towards the sun también.
Why?
Because it looks nice. It looks aesthetically pleasing to me. But
it had nothing to do with the
it just looks like
English.
Well, that's what I'm
yeah, it was a little
like,
random.
I mean, did any of you use it?
No,
not necessarily.
But we look it up. But I know my friends.
He said like you were the parents, like if you know parents and so forth.
Even,
I knew people who used hooked on phonics like that. That I knew.
But but it was like it was something that was heavily sponsored. Like if you watch Sábado Gigante. Or Siempre en Domingo, or any one of those variety shows back then, they would always be a huge sponsor because they would try to help people with that barrier that couldn't speak English, and they'd be like, "Here, buy this set of Inglés sin barreras," which translates to English without barriers. first. So, and it was like this big old set. It was like 20 VHS tapes. It had like a bunch of workbooks. They had cassette tapes for them too. It looked dope. Like when you looked at it, you're like, damn, this is a dope ass collection of all of this stuff.
They had it all lined up in like 6 books with
yeah,
the
man.
like,
Watch, when I find them, then
it's like when you're trying to order the 2000s collection of Kenny G.
Oh dang! So it's like that, and but I was just wondering if you guys had to.
I didn't
ever like even use any type of language type of stuff.
I think my kids used the hooked on phonics, but hooked on phonics is different because the English sin barreras I think is teaching you how to learn a new language, whereas hooked on phonics is improving the English language or trying to make it easier for that. So yeah, but I was shocked. You guys mentioned it. I was like, I had no clue what you guys were talking about.
Where
They're
were
gonna get
you?
crapped on for that. They're gonna be like, oh, are you Latino for not knowing that? And I'm like, well, I mean,
I want to know if anybody actually bought it from when they were promoting it on TV.
I think we need to have an interview with the person that bought one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious for those and the people who bought. Because I'll tell you what we did buy. We bought a ton of encyclopedias. I remember when
Encyclopedia Britannica.
Yeah, like you had the whole collection.
Dang.
And if you had Q and R, you were the shit. Like, I mean, it's just one of those things where they were so rare.
Yeah.
It was like collecting Pokemon cards.
I had those.
But the guy would come in and it was like $167 for the entire volume. So if you had one in your house, you knew you had money. So Joby had money.
No, my grandmother.
They saved
the thing
up.
is that they save up because the thing is that I got the Britannica, but because my mom was living in the United States, working in the United States, and then she will send it to me in Panama. But that's how I got it.
Oh, okay. So you ended up getting like an edition in the mail. You were all excited, like you had just received money.
I bet you the shipping.
Oh my God, I got D! I got D! And then she's like A, B, C, D, and then the rest of the internet is gone. It's like nothing's there.
They're all marked.
All marked by letters, man.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, they were all like.
And you
So
wanna
if you
get
had
it
if you had a
once.
school project, you were going into that 1940 history and like digging it in because they were all outdated. So it was crazy.
Yep.
I was going back because I know you do a lot of 90s and 2000s. I decided to ask ChatGPT because I didn't want to be biased about this.
Okay.
So I picked out a whole bunch of shows that they had a criteria. The latest it could have started was like 1988. And then it had to go, if you were a 2000 show, you had to start in the 90s and then go in there. I gave it to ChatGPT to turn around and come up with the top 10 for that. There's going to be some that are probably not on here that you're going to disagree with or agree with. But these are the top 10 most popular shows or nostalgic shows of the 1990s, 2000s, according to ChatGPT.
Are they in order?
I have an order.
Okay, starting from 10?
Starting from 10.
Okay, here we go.
From 10, Boy Meets World.
I enjoyed that show. That was TGIF. That was peak TGIF.
So that was number 9. Number 10. Number 9 is Beverly Hills 90210.
Oh my God, that was definitely hooked on that one.
You didn't
Surprisingly,
watch
I didn't watch that.
No.
Really?
No.
I mean, it's your neck of the woods. It's like LA.
I know. I'm surprised. No.
Okay.
What is weird because at that time it was dealing with high schoolers and I was probably like in an elementary, so I didn't really relate.
You probably didn't watch it that much?
I didn't relate. So all I know is just Luke Perry.
Yeah. I mean, he was the biggest thing
what
on
year
there.
were you born?
Jason Priestley was like my thing.
83.
Oh, okay.
83. Also, you're part of an 80s kid. Yeah, very cool. All right, number 8, Family Matters.
Family
Family Matters. Steve
Matters.
Urkel, for people who don't know
Friday
what we're talking about.
night.
Did I do that?
Number 7, In Living Color, my favorite show.
Oh, I love that show.
Yeah. In Living Color transcended comedian
Very
and
much
like
so.
the
Yes,
way-
I love the weigh-ins, and it featured your favorite fly girl too.
Yep, we were just talking about. So for those of you who don't know, that's where J-Lo kind of got her superstardom from. And she went fast on that. Like she started in the back lines and then was in the front lines in like the second season.
Yeah,
That was crazy.
man, as quick as you fell in love with her.
Yeah, no. Me and
I like how you went. Yeah, no.
No. So
You're not supposed to tell
she'll think
them.
Selma will think I'm cheating on her. So Selma
Oh
Hayek.
yeah, that's his
moving on.
crush.
Yes.
Number 6, Fresh Prince of Bel Air.
Yes.
Yeah,
I did
that
not
was
watch it live, but I did watch a lot of reruns as a kid.
Okay.
Yeah, I watched
watch
it
it
live. I
live.
thought it was an amazing show. About 5 is ER.
Yeah.
Hell no.
With George
ER. So there's
Clooney?
one that you disagree. Yeah, with George Clooney.
No, it's just for me. It was
I
too
don't know. It was
serious
just
for
too
me.
intense.
I would have personally have put something in there like Bill Nye the Science Guy or something like that.
Did you ever watch Mad TV? Is it there? No.
Yeah, I don't think Mad TV. Mad TV was cable. Like you needed like.
No, it was
No,
Fox 11,
it was
brother.
after Living Color.
Well, I don't
no,
know.
yeah,
It was after.
after.
I feel like that was more adult audience though. I don't know.
Anyway, go ahead.
It's good.
Number 4 is X-Files.
That music comes to my mind.
I didn't watch it, but the intro was always freaking.
You posted it on some of your stuff, so it was huge though. It was
Yes,
huge.
that intro.
So number 3, which is kind of weird that it's number 3, but I can see why it would be number 3, is Friends.
Okay.
I do not enjoy that show.
I
So-
was not.
I
Not on
understand
this
why
list.
people like it.
Yeah.
It's just for me. It's just not for me.
Not on
It's
this
not-
list
not
was the
that
show that Friends was technically like taken from was Living Single, which I think was.
I love living single.
So-
We are living single.
So see, this is why I asked ChatGPT because that I would have replaced Friends immediately with Living Single. So
I love
Living
that.
Singles came out first, maybe who don't know,
Yes.
and then Friends came right after that with the same exact concept.
Dang, I didn't know that. That's crazy.
Number 2, Saved by the Bell,
I
Oh
love
my god, my
Saved by the
Saturday
Bell.
mornings.
which is kind of weird because Saved by the Bell only had like 2 or 3 years into the 90s. It started in like late 80s and then.
Yeah, I don't think it was a thing for me, but I remember it. Like, I don't think I.
It was huge. I mean, I think it
Yeah.
was
Saturday
probably the
mornings.
number one transcending show that we've ever
It was
watched.
one of those shows where I felt like I was growing up with the
Yeah.
Yeah.
because it had
So.
been there where you kind of see them go through from
Development.
through like as adults also, so it was really cool.
Oh yeah, they can take. I mean, they started even making like movies.
Mario
of-
Lopez
of-
is in that show.
Yeah, that's
Mario
how he
Lopez,
is. Like,
yeah.
he
Mario
still
He
looks
looks super
super
young, so I
He
get
looks
confused.
just like
Yeah,
he's
man.
in that
Like,
show. Like it's
something
insane. I
suspicious.
don't think
He
the guy ever. He made a pact with
If you,
somebody.
if you guys make an opportunity, look up Zach Morris versus AC Slater. They get in
Right?
an actual fight. It was really
Do
cool.
they really?
In the show, I mean, it was, obviously it's acting, but it was just
Yeah.
really crazy. I remember seeing that as a kid. I was like, oh my god, why are they fighting? Anyways, shout out to Mario Lopez. Feel free to come on the show.
Yeah, anytime.
Hey.
Latino show. Number 1 show, which I agree with. I'm a huge fan of this show, but it was another show that started like late 80s and only went into like a little bit of the 90s. But it's so iconic
I know.
that I think anybody can go. So number 1 was Wonder Years.
Oh,
I think we were gonna say Full House.
love that.
Full House is more
What?
80s than it is
Oh,
anything else.
I was like, I thought you were
So,
gonna say.
that's the
Yeah,
problem.
with
It's
John
really
Stamos,
weird
another
'cause
crush.
Full House started, I think, in 86, 85.
Yeah.
Because with Wonder Years, it came out in the 80s.
It came out in 88 and ended in 93.
But it's a period, and it takes place in the 60s.
Late 60s, early 70s. And then it goes into a little bit of the 80s, I think, or it starts. Well, I think it ends towards the late 70s when they're like.
They remade the Wonder Years again.
Yes.
And they kept it in the same time frame, which I think was a huge mistake. But if you were to make a Wonder Years now, at this point, it would be a show that took place in the early 2000s.
Like if you did
Yeah,
do
if
Wonder
you did
Years?
the Wonder Years.
Yeah, because I mean the show that they did, that's with an African American family, I think.
Right, right,
Um,
yeah. The
Yeah,
reversion.
the new reboot. Yeah,
Yes.
and it just got canceled too.
Exactly, they
unfortunately, so.
did.
They obviously didn't give it a chance to matriculate. Plus, they
It
didn't
was
really
so
sell it. They
good,
didn't
a
really sell it.
remake.
I think it was good. I just think that nobody was really invested in seeing the same period piece from the same time frame. I
So
think
you're saying if they chose a different time frame, they would have done
I
better.
think it would have been something a little bit earlier. It's because not too many people would be able to. I mean, I understand the
relate to that
the,
time
the,
frame. I think.
the class and all of that stuff is just for that time frame.
Yeah, because it was hitting the time frame is the 70s.
Because
yeah.
the people that were watching the original one in the 80s actually lived through the 60s, I think.
Yeah.
And whereas I think when you're releasing a show in 2023 about the 60s again, not many people lived in the 60s around that time. So I feel like it was a miss. If they would have done it like in the 80s or even the 90s,
Then most people would be like,
yeah,
no
people
pun,
would- people would-
nostalgic about it.
it would be a
and
lot
they were
more
like,
relatable.
Oh, I remember that
I
time.
see
Yeah.
what you're
So
saying.
Yeah, because they remember their own.
That's
Wonder
cool. That's a cool
Years.
assessment. I didn't realize that. Of course, I haven't watched the new one, so I don't know how good or bad it was.
The remake. No, it's really good.
But
I
yeah,
see his point.
I would agree with your point. Like, I
yeah.
figure if they're gonna do a show that does the Wonder Years, you kind of go into a period where people can kind of jump on and be like, okay. Plus, if you're gonna do, because I think Everybody Hates Chris kind of taps into the '70s a lot, and so I think that's.
So, but that came out in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
I think.
Well,
So-
I'm saying it goes in conjunction with what you're saying. So that's like a 20-year period. So it came out in the '80s. People knew the '60s. Came out in the what is it, 2000? Everybody Hates Chris, or late '90s, 2000s, and so it hit the '70s. So technically, you would be in the 2000s. The people in the 2024 would have 20 years later. Wow, very cool. Wouldn't have known. All right, a little challenge for you.
Do you mean that wasn't the challenge?
No, that wasn't the challenge. That was just us talking about
That
nostalgic
was a
shows.
pre-challenge.
Look,
Whoa.
for those of you, there are shows that were left off, like Dawson's Creek. There's quite a many shows
yeah,
that were
Riverdale.
not on this list. So, which shows do you feel belong on this top 10 list? Comment below. All right. So we're gonna play this or that. I went through your account, so I know a lot of the things that you post on. And so what we're going to do is we're going to ask you, which one would you prefer, this or that? You ready? All
Go
right.
for it.
So DuckTales or Rescue Rangers?
Oh my god.
Rescue Rangers.
I had a feeling you were going to go there because you have the
I literally just dressed up as Monterey Jack for Disney Channel night. That was
If you had to
just
choose
really
a
cool.
theme song, which one would you go with?
DuckTales.
DuckTales had a better theme song. Yeah. All right. SpongeBob or Fairly Odd Parents?
Probably SpongeBob.
SpongeBob?
I can't do it.
Was that a SpongeBob
I
impersonation?
tried doing that. Hey, Patrick. I can't do it.
All right, this one's going to be tough because you're there all the time. So Nickelodeon or Disney?
I love Disney a lot. There's just a lot more. I think when it comes to movies, it's always more about Disney. When it comes to shows, it's more about Nickelodeon.
Okay.
So if that makes sense. Nickelodeon TV as opposed to
Overall, you'd
movies.
probably go Disney though? Or like,
Yeah, I would go Disney.
Disney?
It's just there's just too much of an ambience there.
90s music or 2000s?
Oof.
Oh,
That's a tough one.
Uy, no.
That is a tough
No,
one.
Dios
Te puse
mío.
la-
I
te
know.
puse la-
It is.
The face says enough. He looks like one of those blocks in like the Super Mario Kart.
Damn.
It just comes slamming down.
That's a hard
That's a
one.
That
hard
is a
one.
hard one. I'm gonna say, damn. Probably 90s.
90s?
90s, just because it's closer to my childhood.
Do you have a favorite song? Or that's too much? His head is about to explode.
There's
Look,
so many of them, man.
we had good music. Like that's the one, and I tap into
Oh.
the '80s, so it's like we had an amazing music. Yeah, I got
There's
shit
so,
music now.
there's so many. I can't just
Yeah.
name one.
All right, Power Rangers, Red Ranger or Green Ranger?
None. Black Ranger.
Black
Black Ranger.
Ranger.
Black-
Black
Really?
Ranger.
I would have thought you went Pink Ranger because I know you're a huge
I
fan of her.
love Pink. That's my first childhood crush, man. Yeah, I met her for the first time a couple years ago, and I met her again.
Yeah, I saw she was at. You posted on the thing.
I was like, oh.
Which is funny because we were talking about the top 10 nostalgia for people who don't know. Boy Meets World, Topanga was like huge for everybody. Like,
Oh,
really.
yeah. It was Topanga.
Yeah. All right, Tales from the Crypt or Goosebumps?
Tales from Goose.
You know what? Tales from the Crypt I was always scared of as a kid. It was very adult-oriented, so I didn't really get it, but the intro was fire.
Yeah.
But the Goosebumps music was awesome as well. Dang, Goosebumps. Yeah, Goosebumps for sure.
Goosebumps? All right.
I love Goosebumps.
This is funny because I just saw you post about this, which I didn't even know the company existed. But LimeWire or Napster?
Oh my goodness.
Limewire. I got banned from Napster.
Did you?
What?
I got banned from Napster
I mean, who
because
didn't? They closed
I
down.
downloaded Metallica songs back then.
Oh my
Oh, and they
goodness.
fought back on that. I
And
remember
they
that.
fought back on it, and they found every user
Yeah.
The IP.
that had downloaded that, and they just completely banned them off the thing. So it was always, and then at that point, it's like, where do I go now? Oh, El Limoncito.
El Limoncito.
All right, let's
Bro, they
go to
just sent you a
Limewire.
kit though.
They
Like,
did send me a kit.
I didn't know they were. What do they do now? Like, how do
They're,
they
I
not-
think they're like an NFT type of store now.
Man, they
So-
send you a whole ass kit though. Like,
Yeah,
you got
yeah.
A shirt,
I got a
like,
shirt, a
sweaters,
hoodie, and all
okay.
of that stuff. I felt validated
Yeah.
for once in my life.
I mean, LimeWire. Trust me, you would download a song, but it's not what you downloaded.
It's like, yeah, you'll get to hear 3 minutes of pleasure, and then it'll at the cost of putting a big old virus on your computer.
yeah, right.
Ay, ay,
You turn
ay.
around, download it, your computer was shot for 3 weeks. All right, this one's tough because this was a big one for me too. WWE or WCW?
Oh, it's WWF for sure.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I mean WWE. Yeah.
No, you're right. Back then, well,
WWF. Yeah, I know what he's saying.
Because the WWF, they had to change their name because of the World Wildlife Fund, and they did not want to be, considered, to get confused with that. Yeah. So they had to legally.
I feel like WWF would have been.
No, WWE.
I think if they stood away, I think they would have been the one that would be recognized. So
yeah, but I think they would have looked at real dicks and stuff.
Yeah,
because it's
that makes sense.
And the WWF icon is a little baby panda.
As much as I like WWE, I have to say WCW actually took the cake when those competitions were coming for me.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I was a huge WCW fan. This is going way back though. The Noid versus the Little Caesars puppet.
The Noid?
That's Domino's.
He's he kind of looks like a rabbit guy.
Yeah.
Dang.
I took it way back.
I haven't thought of that guy. He used to be.
He's like, I haven't thought of that.
He's the mascot for Domino's Pizza way back in the day.
He was annoying as shit.
Yeah, he's annoying as shit. Anyways, and then who's the Little Caesars dude?
The Little Caesars
I'll
dude.
probably say the Noid.
The Noid?
Just because you don't ever see him.
It's more original. Yeah, I mean he's gone.
Yeah.
He's almost like the.
For a minute, I was thinking of Cool Spot. Do you remember the little spot for 7-Up?
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
He used to wear the little glasses.
Yeah. Nintendo or Genesis? That's the last one.
That'd be Genesis.
Genesis?
Just because I was my
really, and you're like a huge Game Boy fan.
Yeah, it's just because Game Boy was my first handheld.
What made it for you? What made Genesis more?
Just because that was my first system.
That was your first system
as a kid.
Man, I had ColecoVision.
What's that?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. No, I mean Coleco. I think it's Coleco.
It's it had a huge controller, a little knob, and then you were it's where they had the original Donkey Kong and.
I didn't know that.
Stuff like that, yeah.
ColecoVision.
Which in then turn got transferred over to Nintendo, started taking over all that.
My brother had something called Intellivision.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
Which is similar also. Yeah, it had a little
I had Coleco. Right? Everybody else had Atari 2600.
It had a 9-digit. It looked like a phone pad. I don't know. It was weird.
It might be the same. I mean, mine was huge. That controller was this big. It had big old buttons that you used to press. It was, and then you had a knob at the end. It was crazy. So, all right. This
Nostalgia.
or that.
This or that.
Very
you
cool.
could go with this, or you could go with that.
Yeah, right.
You could go with this. You could go with that.
All right. If people wanted to follow you, where would they go?
You can follow me at the Nostalgic Latino. You can find me on Insta. You can find me on TikTok. I'm not on Twitter or anything like that.
You don't talk politics or anything? No, I'm just kidding.
No,
too controversial.
No. There's one thing, and we go by fluffy standards here.
There you go.
Fluffy's
politics,
a big
religion, or sports. Those
he's an inspiration for a lot of my comedy. So yeah, it's like what he says. It's just sports, politics. And I try to stay away from religion as well.
We try to too. The only time I ever get into it is if I.
Yeah, it's like I'm not qualified to be talking about all of these things. So there's people that'll be in the DMs and be like,
"What do you think about this and this?"
It's deafening about this and this that's happening in the world. And I'm like, dude, I have nothing to say. I'm not the person that.
Yeah.
My voice does not have any platform in regards
I agree with you. The way you see it is if you're going into that conversation, you better know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
exactly.
You're gonna have to do the rebuttal, the follow up, and everything else that goes with it.
Yeah, man. If you you could come at me and be like, eloteros, raspados, chicharrones. Which one out of the three? And I'm like, hell yeah, I'll let you know what's up.
Unless we're talking about churros, then you don't want to engage into the conversation.
I just have one thing to say for those calling me names in that video, because I went back and read some of the comments. They called me a no sabo kid. I'm actually a sabo kid. I just happened to grow up calling.
Everybody was calling it differently.
The wheel duros churros. So kill me.
She got mad as hell.
If you guys want to.
I call them churros too.
Exactly.
Como churritos.
The little circular ones that she was talking about?
Yeah, the little circular ones.
I think it depends on where you were from as to whether or not.
I know, but people were attacking me. They were
they went on.
They called them chicharrones.
They said they don't own me.
It made for great content.
They even called me the B word. I was like, dang.
No, those were removed though. Those they pasado. Like people were just crazy.
No, but I'm a sabo kid, so please.
Yeah, she's like I'm a sabo kid. Don't take it.
It's just what you kind of grow up with what
Man, it was really good having you on the show. Like, it's been...
Damn, man, that's a good way to
Yes.
kind of cut off right in the middle of my thought process here.
Yeah.
And be like, you know what? I don't really
That's
care what
because
you
we're out
say.
of time. We don't care.
Okay.
It's like,
Hey, man. I'm out of here.
he was going into in-depth knowledge. We're like, hey, man, it's really good.
Hey, man, when
Go
it comes
ahead.
to food,
We don't
no,
talk
no
about
joke,
reflection.
man.
Yeah, no. We have to have a whole episode for food. Like,
Yeah.
we would be there for days. We can't invite Daisy, though, because she takes this stuff personal. So, it's like, Yobi never talks about anything, so it's like, she's never the target.
I'm always the
Like,
target.
even in the...
I'm
I
usually
do
trying to
talk.
target him.
I do talk,
The
but
very last episodes that he was on, he was trying to put me on the spot.
I always
Oh,
gotta
my
put him
God.
on
Every
blast.
single time when we had other hosts on here, he would be like agreeing with them on purpose just to try to throw me off.
Yeah. So like,
I remember that.
because it was, you know, obviously there's more ladies on the.
There's always more ladies on the show.
And
I'm
in
always
the show, so you know, I'll be like, yeah, I agree with Babler, and then when the ladies start going like, no,
No,
I'm like, I don't know what I just said right
by
now,
the
but
time
I agree with them.
by the time I finish, I'm the only one on
Yes.
one stand standing on a hill while people are throwing pikes at me and all
Ay,
kinds of stuff.
Dios.
No, but seriously, it's really awesome to have you on the show, especially after such a long time being able
Yeah.
to go back and forth. So, all right, guys, if you're interested in watching the show, make sure that you go to YouTube. We are on all podcast networks, all your listening podcast networks. I am Rafael. That is Yobi. That is Carlos, Nostalgic Latino. That is Daisy. Follow us on all Todo Wafi and Todo Latino show accounts. We are out.